Hi there, my name is Bowie. I use they, them pronouns. Welcome to your training session. Today we are going to be working through some foam rolling. Ooh, it's okay. So we're going to start at the tops of our bodies. We're going to work our whole way down. Feel free to follow along and roll for as much or as little as you like, depending on where you're at. Some of this might be uncomfortable, especially if you're tight, so really work with where you're at. If you're feeling that the rolling is causing you to tense up, maybe that's time to stop because tension does not help relaxation. So just start slow and feel good about that because the fact that you're doing something at all is awesome. Yes. I want to acknowledge the original custodians of this land on which this video is being recorded. Pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging. This video is brought to you by Proud to Play. Alrighty friend, we're going to begin with our upper backs. And this is always a great spot to start because we often get so tight and we spend a lot of time sitting and we're hunched over. We're going to go through some techniques that you can use that will help you to open up through not just your upper back but also your chest as well. So you're going to start by sitting just in front of your foam roller, laying back so that it's resting across your shoulder blades. Not too high. And to begin with, you can hold your head for support. You're just going to gently arch back over the roller and supporting your head, coming back up. You're going to creep down, like one vertebrae, arching back just as far as you feel good about. You definitely don't have to match where I'm at. And rolling back and just slowly making your way down your spine and holding in this bottom point just for about 3 to 5 seconds. You don't want to hold there for a super long time, but just really gently arching down. Now we don't want to go too far. Once you get to around the bottom of your rib cage, that is where you want to stop. We do not roll our backs or our spines below our rib cage because that can be unsafe for those vertebrae. So we're going to do one more at the bottom of our ribs, just probably somewhere around your mid-back area, coming back up. Now we're going to come back to the tops of our shoulders here. Feel good about working down a few times with that one. So if you find that you're a bit tight, you can go back through and just start again and do exactly the same thing, just arching back. And if you like, raising your hips up a little bit can help increase that pressure. Rolling, creeping down, arching back. The hips just gently raised, and that can help as well. Again, once you get down to that mid-back area, that's where you want to stop. Slowly coming back up. Coming back to the roller and at the tops of our shoulders, there's two options here because sometimes when we roll, our heads can be a bit heavy to hold up. So feel good about either supporting your head here, and what we're going to do is gently raise the hips up and just roll slowly down the length of our spine. Again, stopping around that mid-back area where your ribs start to finish off. You don't want to push too low there. Slowly rolling back up. And you just take your time to start with here. Rolling down, rolling back, supporting your head with your arms and feeling good about that. Just gently tucking your chin towards your collarbones as you do. Just allows a little bit of length through the spine. And you can spend anywhere from 30 seconds to a couple of minutes rolling, depending on what feels good for you. And then we're going to shift just a little towards one shoulder. So we're going to put a little bit more pressure on one side of the shoulder blade and the area between our spine and shoulder blade. And that opposite shoulder can even gently lift up a little bit. And we're going to do the exact same thing. We're just going to roll, but now we're a bit more targeted on that one side. Taking your time. Resting as you need as well, because sometimes this can get tiring on your legs to having to hold yourself up. But really feel good about that, just rolling around that edge of your shoulder blade. Spend 30 seconds to 2 minutes on that side, and then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So we roll across. You'll notice my shoulder is up off the roller just a little bit, but raise that shoulder as much as you feel good about, depending on the pressure that you want. So the lower your shoulder, the less pressure you're going to have. And then the same thing again, just rolling up and down along that section on the inside of your shoulder blade and spine. Any areas you find that feel particularly twingy, you can just take a moment and sit there on that spot. Just breathe. You'll find it might ease, and then you can just continue on and just work your way up and down. Do your best to look for the areas that feel like particularly uncomfortable when you roll over them. They're generally the spots that are going to need that little bit of extra work. Now, if you want to really get through to the area between your shoulder blades, what you're going to do is you're going to either cross your arms one over the other, and you're going to hug your shoulders here. And this is going to pull your shoulder blades apart nice and wide. You can just cup your shoulders or your sides, making sure you're not rolling over your fingers, lifting your hips up and going again. This time you're going to need to support your head a little bit more, but this opens up that space between your shoulder blades and your spine, and you can really just get in a little bit deeper, get some different areas. Feel good about gently shifting that weight from side to side. But as this one does require you to hold your own head up, spend no more than about 30 seconds at a time with your shoulder blades pulled nice and wide there. Once you feel like you've kind of gotten a good bit of rolling in your upper back, we're going to come to our sides and we're going to roll our lat, which is this area under here. We don't want to go into our armpits. Avoid the armpit, but from about the base of your armpit down your side where your shoulder blade is there, if you lift your arm up and feel this area in here is where we're going to target next. But if you roll into your armpit, there's a chance you'll roll over the glands in there and they get quite agitated and they hurt. You'll only do it once if you happen to accidentally do it. But we're going to just bring the roller to under our arm here, and you can just start just laying on the spot. Sometimes just that pressure of the roller is enough to start the massage process. You don't have to always be rolling back and forth. So feel good about pausing on spots that feel particularly tender. It's actually quite helpful as well. You don't have to always be moving. You can support your head here if you like, just with your arm. It just kind of helps you relax a little bit. And find that tender spot. Even rolling a little bit so your chest starts to gently face upwards, and you'll get that back edge of your lat as well. And again, just taking that time to sit to start with. You might find some spots that feel a bit icky, and you want to sit on those. Now you can manage the pressure as well, so feel good about managing the pressure that you're using here, and don't go more than a 7 out of 10 in discomfort. You don't want to be tensing up. So the more you hold your head and torso up, the less pressure you're going to have. So I'm bracing gently with my elbow here, and that takes the pressure off. So start light. You don't have to go straight in and it has to be horribly painful. You don't actually want it to be anything like that. So feel good. And then you can just gently, you'll see I'm just kind of rocking here up and down. Just a really small movement. It's not about big movements. I'm just gently rocking along my lat there. Getting those spots that feel a bit tight, that feel a bit icky. Again, I'm avoiding my armpit completely. I'm coming behind my armpit and underneath there. But just taking your time, spending anywhere from 30 seconds to a couple of minutes rolling. And then once we're good on that side, we can pop up and we can swap over and do exactly the same thing on the opposite side. Now you might find one side feels fine. It could feel really good or not really have any problems at all, and one side, maybe you can't even rest down on the roller, perhaps it feels really, really horrible. That's okay. It's quite common, and you might find that the dominant hand is the side that has a lot more discomfort underneath it, but not always. So just work with where you're at. Again, starting, just laying, putting pressure on those spots that you feel are a bit tender. And don't expect to feel tender in the same spots on each side as well, because that can also differ. You can come down kind of to the kind of mid-chest height. Your lat comes the whole way down the side there, so you might find that somewhere down lower on one side, you're like, oh my gosh, yep. And you might even get tingles through your hand or some kind of buzzy sensations and stuff like that. That's okay. Those referred sensations are not bad for you, so don't worry if you find that you get strange sensations in other areas of your body. That is all good. It's weird, but it's okay. And just taking that moment to sit there, breathing through, and then when you're ready, same thing, just shifting. You can just maintain that pressure. It doesn't have to be rolling. And if you find that's feeling pretty good, creep your way up. And then you can gently rock. Again, we're not looking for big movements here. It's not all about the big movements. It's about getting those smaller movements in the areas that feel a little bit icky, or a lot icky, depending on where our bodies are at. Again, you can manage that pressure by just coming up onto your elbow gently, bringing your chest up a little bit to take some of that weight off. You have full control here, so when it comes to rolling, don't think that it's got to be painful, because you can control for the whole time the pressure that you apply. So feel really good about that. And once we've done under our arms, we're going to move down. Always start on the same side and then swap over. We're going to move down to our lower back. Now we're not going to roll. We're not going to roll. What we're going to do is come on to our side and do just a gentle bit of pressure on the side of our back. You notice I'm propped up here. My back is not laid flat across, and all I'm doing is gently rocking from left to right here. And I'm getting the foam roller in the muscle that runs down the side of my vertebrae, but I'm not actually on my spine. When I swap sides, I'm going to face away from you so you can see a little bit more the angle that I'm using here. And from the area between the bottom of your ribs to the top of your hip bone, you can just gently kind of roll through there. Again, we're not looking for big movements here. It's not about big movements at all. Just little gentle movements, finding those spots that you're like, oh my gosh, I did not even know it was sore there. The foam rollers are really great for pointing out those spots. Spending anywhere from 30 seconds here to a couple of minutes and feeling good about that, especially if you find that it's quite twingy or it feels quite relieving. Now we're going to swap sides. I'm going to face my back to you because I want you to see the angle that I'm on here. So I come on, and you notice I've got quite a bit of space here. I'm very much on my side, and I'm just rolling down this muscle. So my spine is here, and I'm rolling just to the side of it, just down this muscle here, but just on a side pressure, not on a front-on pressure there. So feel really good about that. Small motions again. Working your way down, you might have to creep along a little bit to move the roller down, but that's okay. Just taking your time here. And again, feeling good if you find a spot that's a little bit icky or twingy feeling, to just sit on that spot. That's totally okay. Pausing here and just allowing that pressure on a spot that feels a little bit not nice can be really helpful. Just breathing through. Coming down and going as low as the top of your hip. You'll find once you kind of hit that top of your hip bone at the back there, you won't be able to go any further. So feeling really good about just working through there. Next, we're going to roll the sides of our hips. Notice we're just slowly making our way down the body here. Now this one, if you're particularly tight, can feel quite unpleasant. So feel good about really taking your time here and not putting that pressure on. So you're going to start just sat up, propping up on that elbow. Keep your leg at your top leg at the back here, and just start by just rolling onto the side and then rolling off. And that's totally okay. It's a great way to start, because sometimes when we start rubbing these areas in particular, things start to tighten up because they can be quite sensitive. So we're just gently rocking and just applying a little bit of pressure there. Taking your time. You don't want to roll too far to the front. Stay on your side and feel good about that. Making sure this bottom leg doesn't start bracing. It wants to stay nice and relaxed. This top leg here, the knee that's bent, it controls that rocking. You can use your arms to help support that as well. Feel good about that. That's the way. Just taking your time. And even coming onto that back edge at the top of your butt, kind of where your hip and top of your pelvis is. And you can gently start rolling there. You notice I'm allowing my leg to just gently straighten. I'm not pushing with this leg. I'm just letting it straighten and then bend as I push with my top foot with my bent knee there. And finding those spots. And when you find a spot that's a bit uncomfortable, just sit there. Don't have to sit there long, sit there for like maybe 30 seconds max. And then just keep going. Working your way back across onto the side. Pausing anytime you feel something that's a bit key. Sometimes going in one direction and then going back in the other, you can find things that you perhaps didn't find one way. But the second way going back, it's like, oh my gosh. So feel good. Feel really good about just working nice and slow there. After anywhere between 30 seconds to a couple minutes, swapping over. You can go longer. Like, feel good about working through this at whatever pace that feels good for you. But don't try and start with a big amount of time. Start short, I would say, and build. Oh my gosh, you'll find spots like that. As soon as you're on them, it's just like, wow. When you find a spot like that, the best thing to do is just breathe. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Try not to tighten up that bottom leg. Try not to squeeze your butt, because that actually makes it worse. The more you can relax into these positions, the more you'll find that the muscles themselves will start to relax, and that discomfort will actually ease quicker. If we brace, it doesn't have the opportunity to relax because we're actively tensing muscles, and our muscles cannot both relax and tense at the same time. Which is where our breathing comes in. And see, I'm just sitting here too, like I'm not rolling. I've just got that gentle pressure of the roller on my hip, and I'm slowly just rocking myself towards the side, getting right up onto my side there, and feeling good about that. And then I can gently roll my way back, just that small rock there. This is an area that can particularly feel quite gross. So if you're finding you're finding it really challenging, go for shorter. Go for 10 seconds. Go, it doesn't have to be long, but just starting. This does not have to be something that takes forever. Working your way all the way around to the upper butt / lower back hip area. If that area is feeling pretty good, it's like, yeah, that's not too bad. It's not the icky spot. We're already rolling off. We're going to make our way to the backs of our legs and up over our butts. So 2 options here. I would recommend starting with one leg on the roller, one leg off the roller, so you can control that pressure, and just rolling back and forth. As big or as small of a motion as you like. Feel good about kind of having to shuffle if you like, all the way up to the base of your butt, and then rolling back. If that's feeling all right and you want to see if you can increase that pressure, cross your opposite leg over the top. And then same thing, you're going to raise yourself up, cross it right over, so the weight of that leg now presses down and it adds. And then maybe you might find that it's increased that tensity for you. Just taking your time, slowly rolling. But again, you're in full control here. So if you don't want to cross your legs over and you'd prefer to just start with that one leg bracing, feel really good about that. You have full control. This does not have to be a horribly painful experience, contrary to what you may have heard or may have experienced in the past. Manage the pressure and you can actually have quite a relaxing and enjoyable stretch. If you find a spot that you're like, oh my gosh, something is there. And again, some of these spots may also send those sensations down your leg into your toes and stuff, the same as under our arms. Our lats did for our fingers and arms. It's all good. Don't mind those sensations. Sometimes when we've had tightness, we can have a little bit of nerve compression and that can contribute to that. Swapping sides when you feel ready. Again, same things. I suggest starting with just one leg, the other leg supports, taking your time, rolling back and forth. And you notice I even shift the angle of my leg across the back so I can roll it outwards. I can roll it just straight on. And then I can roll inwards as well. And just get different angles on those muscles up the backs of our legs, rolling up right to the base of our butts, coming back down. And if you like, crossing that opposite leg over and the same thing again, just taking your time, rolling. Any spot that you find you're like, oh my gosh, ooh, feel good about holding that for just a moment, not too long. Give it 10 seconds and just keep on going. That's the way. Moving to the insides of our legs now. This one can be a little bit awkward, even the position itself, and it feels a little bit awkward as well. So we want to bring the roller parallel to us this time, and we're going to start by just raising our knee up to about 90 degrees, resting our leg on top, and then we're going to roll towards our fronts and then roll back to our side. I'm feeling really good about that. Rolling in as far as you like and rolling back. Taking your time. Again, this is one where you can support that pressure as well. So you can roll, but the more you keep your shoulders back, the less pressure you're going to have. If you're rolling and leaning into it, you're going to increase that pressure that you're feeling through that muscle. So take your time, working through. Wow, this one can be a little bit uncomfortable sometimes. But again, you can manage that pressure. It can feel icky, but it doesn't have to be painful. It doesn't have to be unbearable. Just keep that in mind. Pausing anywhere you find that it feels a bit not nice. And then just working back up and down. That's it. When you feel ready, I'll swap sides. We'll do exactly the same thing on our opposite side. Bend that knee to 90 degrees. Bring our leg out and just gently rolling onto our fronts and back towards the knee. Feeling good about adjusting your leg to wherever you want it as well. It's totally preference. Rolling out and back. And just taking your time here. Again, pausing anywhere that feels a bit icky. But managing that pressure, no more than a 7 out of 10. That is a maximum, 7 out of 10 of discomfort. So if you can keep it 7 or between like a 7 and a 5, you're going to find that you're going to actually get a good bit of benefit. Don't think that it's got to be painful for it to be working. It doesn't. It doesn't help. So feeling really good about that. Taking your time. Rocking, just gentle rocks here as well. You can do it in small increments. It doesn't have to be the whole length of your leg at once. That's it. Nicely done. Coming back, we are going to come to our quads now. Ooh, I know this one might feel a bit challenging, and that's okay. This is another one that our legs are a bit awkward, so just work with where you're at and use what support you need. We're going to come, again, I always recommend starting with just one leg on the roller. It's going to come to under the front of your leg. I've got my opposite knee braced out to the side, and I'm just going to start rocking back and forth, rolling all the way up the front of my leg, and then back. Again, you can do this in small rocks as well. It doesn't just have to be the full length of your leg. You can break it into smaller sections if that helps it feel more manageable. And just rocking, creeping forward and rocking. Doing your best to keep this leg relaxed. We don't want it bracing. It can increase the discomfort and it doesn't allow the stretching to happen. Any icky spots that you're finding, take that moment to breathe through. But you can control the pressure by how you brace with your elbows and your opposite leg on the floor. So feel really good about just managing that. Taking your time, working down. That's the way. Creeping forward as you need and resting as you need. You don't have to just keep going. You can do this in like a little bit and then break, a little bit and break. Especially our quads here, they can be quite tight. And when you're ready, swapping sides, I'm going to do this one on the opposite side because I want you to see how I brace with this back leg here on this side. So we start with the roller under the front of our quad. And you notice this leg is bracing out nice and wide here. And this helps me manage that pressure. It helps my hips stay elevated. And then I roll back and forth, creeping myself along as I move down my leg, keeping it as relaxed as possible. You're going to want to brace, but really just every time you feel yourself bracing, take that breath in, take that breath out, relax, and don't try and avoid the sensation that you're feeling. If you can take your time to really notice it, it can actually help to relax, as uncomfortable as that may feel. Just working your way up and down. That's it. And when you're feeling good about that, anywhere from 30 seconds, 2 minutes, or as long as you feel like being adventurous about, we're going to come back over. We're going to finish off with our calves. Again, starting with one leg first. You can double the legs up like you do with the backs of your legs, but I would recommend starting hands on the floor, just sat, using your opposite leg to support your weight and just rolling down. Just as far as you can, rolling back up, pulling your hips back, or just shifting on your butt, whatever feels good for you. Rolling your way. And again, like with your backs of your legs, you can roll the center. You can come to the side as well. Feel good about that. You'll find you'll get a different experience rolling the outside. You can roll inwards, roll the inside. But really feeling good about that. And Don't skip out on going all the way down to the back of your ankle here as well. Down nice and low there. Just making your way. Again, anywhere you find it feels a bit icky, feel good about just holding that. And if you want to increase the pressure, crossing that opposite leg over, holding the hips up and rolling. Nice and slow. If you find it's a little bit too much pressure, you can sit your hips and butt down onto the floor and just sit on that spot as well. Just taking your time. Doing one side and then swapping over. Again, starting just with one leg and doing the exact same thing. Rolling all the way back, all the way forwards. Coming to the outsides. Insides. Finding those spots. Again, either just crossing your leg over the top and sitting down, or crossing your leg over and raising your hips if you feel like you really want to get a spot that maybe just with a single leg, it's just not quite reaching it. But you'll be able to tell, like, if something, you roll over it and like your eyeball pops out and you start hollering, a little bit too much pressure maybe. So feel good about backing that off. Again, just creeping your way down, finding those spots and breathing through. Even rolling from left to right. Oh my gosh. Yep, you'll find those spots. They're there. And they might clunk and pop a little bit as well. That's okay. Again, starting at about 30 seconds and building up. Really keep it slow. Manage the pressure. You have full control over the pressure that you can apply, so it doesn't have to be horribly uncomfortable. So really feel good about working with that. You can get a lot of benefit from using your foam roller just for a couple minutes a day. It can make a huge difference. Well, I hope you enjoyed the session. I hope you feel a little bit looser. I hope it wasn't too uncomfortable for you, and maybe you learned some neat things about how you can help yourself loosen up, particularly if you spend a lot of time sitting at a computer or in a chair. Yes, alrighty friend. Hope to see you in the next session. Have a rad as day.